Hello investors, I'm Hun and I will be the first guider to tell you why nuclear energy could be the next boom in Vietnam's energy industry. First, we all know that now in Vietnam there is a rapid growth in energy consumption due to industrialization and urbanization. Vietnam has a population of 99 million and the electricity demand is growing up to 10% per year, which raises much concerns. In the early 1995 preliminary nuclear energy study reported that around the year 2015, when electricity demand reaches more than 100 billion kilowatt-hours, nuclear power should be introduced to satisfy the continuous growth in the country's electricity demand in that time and beyond. Moreover, our energy sources is heavily relied on gas, coal, hydro, and imported energy to meet the energy needs. Coal remains a significant contributor to the energy mix. However, in 2022, Industry and Trade Minister Nguyễn Hồng Diên announced that the developing nuclear power is an inevitable trend for Vietnam at the country's National Assembly and will help the country to become carbon neutral by 2050. Yet, we still have to emphasize Vietnam's limitations that they have in the energy industry, including problems such as environmental impact, finite resources, and energy import dependency. The country is heavily relied on fossil fuels, coal, which contribute to climate change and air pollution. The country's reserves are also finite, and increasing dependence on imported energy sources raises concerns around security and price volatility.
So, with the current situation and future speculation, the Vietnamese government has been implementing policies and laws to help the nuclear power industry become more attractive to FDI. First, the government had committed clear policy favoring the development of nuclear energy, and the National Assembly has announced the Atomic Energy Law in 2008 to encourage investment and technology transfer in the field of nuclear energy through forms such as joint ventures, business cooperation, and 100% foreign capital investment. Next is the approval of Vietnam National Energy Development Strategies to 2030, Vision to 2045, to create favorable conditions for FDI investors in terms of administrative procedures, access to land, credit, and other support services, such as prioritize FDI projects that can be paid in domestic currency or by barter and do not require government guarantee. The government also pay attention and invest in research and development, and the leading research agency on nuclear energy that responsible for this is the Atomic Energy Institute of Vietnam, or VINATOM. We also have some law on ensuring nuclear safety, and the agency that responsible for this is Vietnam Agency for Radiation and Nuclear Safety, VARANS, and also the National Nuclear Incident Response Center. The government also supports investors with incentive to shorten the time to resolve procedure according to the investment law in 2020, and also has some incentive on tax exception and reduction according to the FDI corporate income tax policy in 2024. And finally, the government also established safety and regulatory standards in line with international practice. First, we have the legal framework of the Atomic Energy Law in 2008. We also have some safety standards like in designing, operating, and radioactive waste management. And finally, the government also has some supervision and inspection by Vietnam Agency for Radiation and Nuclear Safety, or VARANS.
While renewable energy sources are currently in surplus, the national power system in recent years is at risk of experiencing serious electricity shortage. This is a chart illustrating the domestic power source distribution. Coal is the main source to produce electricity in Vietnam. However, it will create detrimental impacts on the environment. Hydropower, in contrast, no emissions, much cheaper than coal, but it relies heavily on the weather conditions. Especially, it requires much rain to generate electricity. In the case one of these two sources operate below regular level, the other would consequently overwork, and then the supply would be not enough to fulfill the demand in the whole country. With this existing power shortage and heavy reliance on only two main sources for electricity, nuclear power would be a potential alternative. Firstly, nuclear energy can ensure national energy security by providing a large and stable supply of electricity without being affected by the weather conditions like hydropower or the unstable price of coal. Secondly, many countries around the world are developing nuclear power as a clean and sustainable energy solution. Developing nuclear power can gradually replace power plants using fossil fuels, helping to reduce pollution and climate change. This is highly favorable reasons for the development of nuclear power because the Prime Minister of Vietnam, Mr. Phạm Minh Chính, has committed in COP26 that Vietnam would have reached to the net zero target by 2050. Finally, nuclear energy could help Vietnam diversify the energy sources so that the electricity generation would no longer rely on only two unstable sources.
Vietnam's interest in nuclear energy for power generation began in 1958 with the acquisition of small research reactor from the U.S. Atoms and Peace Program. In 2006, suggestions for Vietnam's first nuclear power stations emerged. In 2009, the government authorized an investment program for Ninh Thuận nuclear power plant, and the Atomic Energy Law in 2008, which supervised nuclear operations. However, the program was suspended in 2016. This suggests that Vietnam aims to produce nuclear energy. In 2013, the first group of Vietnamese nuclear experts arrived in Russia to receive training at Vorodon's nuclear power plant. Vietnam has also worked with the IAEA to provide training for its engineers in areas like nuclear power plant management and operations. Vietnam has seen strong economic growth with an annual average GDP expansion of around 6 to 8% in recent years. The rapid economic development and industrialization and rising living standards have fueled a booming demand for electricity, which is expected to continue growing swiftly in the coming years. By 2030, Vietnam's manufacturing hub of Ho Chi Minh City is forecast to lack over 10,000 megawatts of its total electricity capacity to meet demand. As 2022, the government has suggested that increasing nuclear power is an inevitable trend to have Vietnam become carbon neutral by 2050. As we know, nuclear power is seen as stable, carbon-free source of electricity that could complement the expansion of renewable energy sources. By producing electricity from nuclear energy instead of coal, the amount of emission will decrease significantly. This will help Vietnam to achieve net zero in the future.
It was also due to the anticipated electricity shortages in 2020 that the Vietnamese government, under the leadership of former Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng, initiated the Ninh Thuận nuclear project. This project was aimed at the growing electricity demand with Vietnam's rapid economic growth. It was clear that at the time, Vietnam needed a stable and competitive energy source beyond its existing thermal and hydroelectric power. To finance, Vietnam secured significant international support, with Russia agreed to lend $10.5 billion and Japan providing ODA funds for nuclear power development. The total estimated investment at the end of 2008 was about 200 trillion Vietnamese dong. Recognizing the need for technology as well, the Vietnamese government collaborated with international partners. For Ninh Thuận 1, the advanced Russian nuclear, and the Ninh Thuận Hai, the AP1000 reactor from Westinghouse, USA. Both reactors were third-generation light water reactors, designed with enhanced safety features post-Fukushima safety standards. However, in November 2016, the Vietnamese National Assembly decided to halt the project. The main reasons were not due to technological or safety concerns, but were driven in changes in Vietnam's macroeconomic conditions. The Vietnamese needed to prioritize investment in critical infrastructure projects to spur socio-economic development, and the other reason was the lack of skilled professionals. Yet, investors need not worry. As time speaking, Vietnam has sent over 550 students and engineers to pursue degrees in nuclear technology and safety in Russia and Japan. This also shows that the Ninh Thuận nuclear project, although halted, has demonstrated Vietnam's capacity and readiness to embrace nuclear energy. And trust me when I say, Vietnam stands poised to revisit and realize its nuclear energy ambitions to grow even further.
Okay, so before going in, it should be understood that no energy source can guarantee absolute safety. All we can ever do is to take control and minimize the risk to the point of borderline zero. One of the most feared threats of nuclear energy is the environmental concern. Over 70 years of development, nuclear energy has seen 2 fatal accidents in Chernobyl and in Fukushima. For Chernobyl, the outdated Soviet technology used was unauthorized and seriously violated the safety regulations. Same in Japan, where the second-generation nuclear reactor in Fukushima has not considered the extremity of natural disasters. It should be noted that in the same event of the 2011 tsunami, despite being even closer to the epicenter, the Okinawa nuclear plant stood strong. It is because it was a third-generation reactor which covered almost every possibility of environmental impact. The International Atomic Energy Agency, or in short, IAEA, is constantly updating the standards of nuclear plants, which are now on generation 3+ and can almost guarantee no exterior harm. All the safety measurements are included within, from optimizing the location to environmental safeguards. With the environmental concern in check, public perception and personnel quality can also cause great headache. Vietnam currently has no qualified labor to work on nuclear sites, adding to the notoriety of the 2 mentioned disasters. This could lead to skepticism among society. But as Tung has mentioned, Vietnam preparation by sending engineers out to learn from established nuclear nations will soon come to fruition. By educating the labor force and launching campaigns to inform the public, we can soon convince and ensure Vietnamese society about the safety and benefits of nuclear energy. One last issue is that the geographical position of Vietnam is very strategic
and politically sensitive due to the unstable relationship with China. As a result, cautious actions and protocols should be considered when identifying location to build nuclear plants.